Billiken fans, welcome back. It's Zach Miller and Peter Hale. It's the Midtown Madness Podcast. Before we get going, thank you all so much for listening. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Some might say, hammer that like and subscribe button, Pete.
Some might say, Zach.
It's season 4, and once again, the Midtown Madness Podcast is brought to you by Two Men in a Garden. Pete, you know that I am all over. I love watching stuff on YouTube, and there are so many, native ads in a podcast, any of these content creators' videos, and I just can't believe some of the stuff they advertise. We don't sell you any crap here. All we want to talk to you about is Two Men in a Garden salsa. It's local. It tastes amazing. They've got all the flavors to suit your individual salsa preferences. You can pick up their many products at any local grocery store or online at twomeninagarden.com. And as I say it all the time, if you're particular about your salsa, you want to head over to their website. Follow them on social media at Two Men Salsa on Instagram and Twitter. Pete, we're back and we're dropping the hammer in this episode.
We sure are, Zach. We've got some exciting stuff to talk about, and an exciting person to talk to, and our first track and field women's national championship competitor.
Yes, incredible accomplishments, and that is that we're talking about Samantha Kunza, and we have her on the show, and that interview is coming up right now. All right, Billiken fans, we are super hyped up to introduce our guest today. She's the first Billiken woman to ever directly compete for a national championship. She's fresh off her 13th place finish in the hammer throw at the NCAA championships in Eugene, Oregon. Samantha Kunza, welcome to the Midtown Madness Podcast, and thank you for taking time to talk with us.
Thank you for having me.
So this was your second straight year going to the NCAA championships. Was your approach or your ultimate goal any different this year?
Yeah, I think it was like to place higher. Last year, I think I placed 15th. So just to improve what I did last year. So I got 13th this year. So I'm happy with it. I could have done better, but I'll still take it.
How much? So your ranking coming into it was 15th this time around. So you outperformed that by a little bit. How much does that kind of also, not just last year, but your current ranking kind of have a bearing on what you're trying to do there?
I would say just trying to like PR and do better to like improve and be in that top 9 spot and actually medal and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So no, go ahead, Pete. Sorry.
Well, so last year was Austin, Texas, right? This year is Eugene, Oregon, and that's like the track and field capital of the U.S. And I'm wondering, like, how different was that experience? Was it even cooler this year just because of that track and field history and that setting?
Yeah, it was a lot cooler because I'd never been in that track, and it's like the #1 track in the nation. So it was really cool to see that.
What else do they have out there in terms of like, this is track? Is there like a big Hall of Fame? Are the facilities just ridiculous?
Yeah, it's like the best track in the nation. It's huge. It's like a football stadium, but for track.
Oh man, I thought Nike was super, or not Nike. University of Oregon was just the coolest uniforms back in like 06 or 03, 06. Like the football team was just killing it. So all the pictures of the stadium were just blowing my mind. We gotta ask, like, what is the hammer throw? Because it's such a unique event, even in the track and field world.
Yeah, so basically it's like a shot put metal ball with a wire and a handle, and you wind it and you do some turns and you throw it. It's kind of awkward, but it's a very technical sport.
How big is it? Like, what does it weigh?
8.9 pounds.
Is that the same as a shot put or a little bit heavier?
It's the same as a shot put for women.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So when like the indoor, they call it the weight throw, I guess, right? In the indoor season, is it the same size? Is that just the shot put?
It's not. So instead of a wire, it's on a chain and it's 20 pounds. So you can't throw it as far. That's why you throw it indoor.
Oh wow, okay. I did notice a difference in like the measurements and everything, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. In my opinion, it's a lot harder to throw the weight just because it's heavier and it's kind of bulky and awkward. But hammer, I feel like it's a lot more easier to throw.
Do you like the hammer better for that reason?
Yes. Yeah. And I throw hammer farther too. And weight throw is not an Olympic sport, so I'll stick with the hammer.
Well, you got into the event because your older brother did it. Not necessarily the most natural thing to pick up. What was kind of the genesis of, was it just kind of my older brother I look up to, or was it, that looks awesome?
Yeah, so my brother started in high school. His football coach told him about this guy in Missouri that he has a club and people throw hammers. So my brother went out there one day and tried it and fell in love with it. So I was like, well, what's hammer throwing? Is it like actually throwing like hammer? So I went out there and I tried it, and ever since then I've been throwing it.
You went to Timberland High School, which I still call Wentzville Timberland because I live in my head in like 2003 GAC North. But you actually didn't represent them in the hammer throw because it's not held at high school meets.
Yeah, it's not a high school sport. I think it's just because it's dangerous.
Yeah. Well, we were talking before we got on. I'm talking about like how you come up in the hammer throw and compete at it as a juvenile or an under 18. And I'm like, I'm not handing a javelin to someone who's 15. I don't know if I'm handing a ball on a chain to someone who's 15.
Yeah.
You competed for the club. So I'm curious, did you compete at other events in track and field for high school, or were you just doing club?
My freshman year, I did try shot and discus, but I just didn't like it and I didn't throw it as far. So I just quit that and just focused on hammer throwing at the club.
Is there a lot of crossover between like coming up in the sport, like say in high school and like people who do discus and shot and then also do hammer for their club team? Or is it one of those things where, or do you worry about like your form being off, like kind of messing up your muscle memory or something like that?
Yeah, I think so. Because I think that when a lot of kids come to college and they try hammer for the first time, it's very hard for them to pick up. Like it took me years to like really get it down. So I feel like it's kind of a struggle if you get into hammer later because it doesn't really cross over from shot and discus.
Huh.
Sorry.
And then like, so when you're doing it for club, what's that like? Do you have like an individual coach who's working with those events? Like, I don't know. It just, to me, it's like, it's such a specific form and everything. It seems really challenging to be able to polish your skill like that.
Yeah, I had like a specific hammer throwing coach at my club and during high school, but I didn't throw.
Is it kind of like, I love dynamics, and I gotta wonder when you're competing in the same quote unquote sport as all the people that are competing on like your high school team, but you're competing at the same sport. So you have all this in common with them, but you're not on the team. Were you still able to like get to know your classmates and kind of your sport mates like that? I don't like, am I making sense or am I just rambling?
I guess a little bit. Like my freshman year I was, but after I quit, like I really wasn't doing high school track at all.
I guess that's kind of like club basketball or like club soccer where they won't let you compete high school. That's so funny. No, it's such a weird dynamic. You committed to Alabama out of high school.
Wait. Before the commitment, I am curious about this. It looks like from what we saw in like your bio and the write-up and everything, it looks like you had a national record at one point in the event.
Yeah, so in high school, there's a national ranking list for hammer. And so my senior year, I was ranked number 1 in the nation.
Wow. And the club you're competing for, is that out of St. Louis or St. Charles?
It's Troy, Missouri. It's called Throw for the Road.
So to transition to Zach's question, then, I mean, number 1 in the country, I guess you've pretty much got like your choice of programs, right?
Oh yeah, I had a lot of Division I schools reach out to me. So it was hard to choose which one, but I went with Alabama.
What was that recruitment process like for you? Was it, did you zero in on Alabama kind of the whole time, or were you, entertaining a lot of the offers?
Well, I went on a visit to LSU and I had offers from like Wisconsin and Auburn.
Wow.
There was a lot of other ones too, but those were the ones I went on a visit. But then when I went on my visit to Alabama, it was like the one that I fell in love with. So that's kind of why I chose Alabama.
So what was it about Alabama?
I like the coaches and the teammates, and I thought it'd be a really good experience.
So I'm fairly confident that you're our first guest who's used the transfer portal in the state it actually is in right now. I guess technically Toby Gillen was last year, but he transferred out, obviously not in. What spurred your decision to hit the portal, and were you already zeroing in on coming closer to home before SLU reached out?
Yeah, so that was the whole reason. So after I got my bachelor's at Alabama, I was like, I want to come back to St. Louis. I want to come back home. So that's kind of what led me into that decision.
Yeah, so pretty easy decision then.
Yeah.
So you spent all these years at a massive SEC school like Alabama with all of the resources that come with that. What's it like then adjusting to a school like SLU, and what did you enjoy about the change versus what was maybe a little more challenging about it?
I enjoyed it a lot because I feel like it was more focused on me, because at Alabama, I think there's a lot of great athletes and it's hard to get that one-on-one training. So I really like how Coach Lindsay can really work with me and help me. And I just feel like it's kind of a better fit for me. I feel like I'm able to thrive more at St. Louis than at Alabama.
That's kind of funny. I kind of wanted to say the juxtaposition. You look at you who went back to SLU to get, I guess, more focused training, whereas a guy like Toby went up a level to get a better train. I don't know if I have a question.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems kind of odd, but for me, it just like, I kind of know what I need to do when I throw. So it's just like having a coach kind of like help me get there. I think
I guess
it works for me better, I guess.
Right. I guess what I was trying to say is, I guess it shows how there isn't a catch-all for why people are entering the portal. Or yeah. Or where they go when they enter the portal, or their reasoning for the places they choose. So yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Will a place like Alabama, do they keep a lot more like throwers on their roster than a SLU?
Yeah, they had about like 1 year where they had like 20 throwers.
Oh wow.
It was a lot more.
Wow.
So that's like what, at least 3 times what SLU has?
Yeah.
Wow. And that's throwers being across all throwing disciplines.
All events.
Yeah. Okay.
Does anybody else at SLU do the hammer?
Yes, we have a couple of freshmen that threw it this year.
Okay. Are you're taking them under your wing a little bit?
Yeah, and showing them some things. So.
Nice.
How was it coming back to a smaller school? I got to imagine getting around was a bit more complicated on the Alabama campus.
Yeah, everything's a lot closer. It was a big change, but I adapted pretty well to it.
I'm sure your parents are happy they're able to kind of, see you. They'll only see one meet here in St. Louis, and
yeah, they pretty much went to all my meets this year.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. And then, so you come to SLU, you've got your bachelor's degree, and here you pick up didactic program in dietetics. Am I saying that right? And what exactly is that?
It's just basically like nutrition. So I want to try to be like a dietitian.
Okay.
Will you transition right into that out of school now, or is there still more to your track and field career?
Yeah, so I still have like a year of schooling left. So I'll probably stay and train professionally at SLU, but then also like assistant coach.
Very cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. So you get walk us through kind of the time between, you qualify for the national meet. You've got all these days to kind of lead up to that NCAA tournament. Those three, how many throws was it, Pete? Three, I think.
Yeah, I think
you get three
yeah.
throws there. You got all that time. What are you focusing on in that time?
Basically for my first throw, it's just like get a good, decent throw in that ball. Don't get up foul. And then the next two throws, I try to do a little bit harder.
So, but like specifically in the training, like what does that look like? Or like what part of your, I guess, form or your technique are you kind of trying to make sure you have perfect?
Probably the entry, like being patient, letting the ball take me into the turn, because sometimes like when I get excited or want to throw far, I kind of rush that entry and it kind of throws the whole orbit off. So
wow,
it's a really like a full body movement. If you mess up like one little thing, it's like the throw's paint.
I just, how do you, like, I don't think I think as soon as I make that first turn, that first rotation, 360 degrees, I think I'm on my butt. I gotta be honest with you.
Yeah, it's very technical.
So how many of you actually got to go out to Eugene this time? Was it just Lindsay and John Bell and you, or did other coaches get to go, or what?
Yeah, it was Bell, Lindsay, and then we had an athletic trainer.
Okay. And how many days of like practice warm up did you get before the actual, I guess it was what, the 6th that you threw
Yeah.
on?
We just had 2 days, Monday and Tuesday.
Did you get to stay and do anything fun afterwards, or was that pretty much it?
I mean, we kind of walked around and stuff, sightseeing and stuff, but that was pretty much it. A quick trip.
Yeah.
I was so I guess I should bring this one up. I was watching back your throw, and on your first throw and the leaderboard, it had the UMSL logo, the Missouri St. Louis logo, next to your name, and I thought I might cry. I was like, no, not this time. But
I didn't see that.
Oh man,
that was on the broadcast.
Yeah, it was on the ESPN Plus broadcast. Now,
unreal.
So, but anyway, no, Samantha, thank you so much again for coming on, and congratulations. We couldn't be prouder to have you as a Billiken, and proud of what you did in the championships.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, congratulations and good luck.
Thank you.
See ya. Pete, I'm super excited to see where she goes from here. Congratulations again, and thanks to Samantha Kunza for coming on the show. Congratulations on an amazing college career, and seriously, best of luck. I hope that she makes the Olympics, so we can say that we had another Olympian on the podcast. Selfishly, Pete, which I would never be selfish.
I mean, but hey, Zach, I mean, if past performance is any indicator,
this is the best thing. This is the best thing she could have done for her career. We're the athletic version of the Dane Cook film, Good Luck, Chuck.
What, like everyone else in it went on to
great
things? Or
yes. Yeah. Okay. We are. Yes. Everyone else went on. No. We get to talk to them once and they become rock stars.
Yeah. And I think from a review perspective, we're probably also the same as Good Luck, Chuck. I think probably
that was my best friend's girl. That was the other Dane Cook vehicle.
Okay. Got it.
The really raunchy Dane Cook vehicle.
But yeah, we're also critical darlings. But yeah, the
like a Kevin Smith movie.
The coolest thing is that like I didn't know that. I thought maybe that would be it for her, right? Like I didn't know that she was still gonna kind of keep going with the training.
Oh no, yeah.
And coaching,
she's got. I mean, the Olympics aren't far off for her if she can improve. Like if she can continue on that upward trajectory, the way I understood her results I think she's
like in the mix.
yeah, she's in the mix.
That's pretty great. I mean,
Yeah.
that's incredible. It's incredible to have that at SLU, you know, and Zach, to kind of put some of this stuff in perspective. I mean, being SLU's first female athlete to compete at the NCAA championships in track and field, it was, you know, she talked about kind of her approach on that first flight, those first three throws, and she threw 63.29 meters to take third place in that flight. That was actually, I think, her second throw, if I'm not mistaken, the one that went that distance. But that throw guaranteed her second team All-America at a minimum. And then, unfortunately, the way it goes is you got to wait out the next flight to see if you'll advance to the finals. And she ultimately did not get three more throws. But like we said, she came in ranked 15th and finished 13th overall. And so, you know, she's outperforming what she was expected to do. She's second team All-American. I think a really good performance overall, and she seemed happy with it.
Yeah, how about the idea that like runners have 5,000 meters in a 5K to get it right? She's
Right.
got three throws, which I think amounts to like what 12 turns of the body. She's got 12 total turns of the body to get everything right for a national champ. Like that, if that's not pressure, I don't know what is.
It's like having to like get on a plane, go across the country, you know, warm up for 2 days,
Yes,
and then take 3 free throws, you know, and then get back on the plane and go home. It's crazy.
We're not denigrating anything. Like we're
No.
just saying the time. We're specifically talking about the time frame. Like
Yeah, it's wild.
the time spent competing specifically is minuscule.
Yeah, you have to be so comfortable with every little precise movement of your body. You have to be your mind has to be completely just locked in, and
that is why
I
there
cannot
are
imagine.
that is why there are Olympians and Zacks.
Yeah.
That's why there's Olympians and Pete's,
Yep.
because they
it's a big
can
difference.
lock in.
It's really incredible. I just don't know how you do all that with, yeah, and you're right. It's so quick. It's that high pressure situation, and to really, you know, in her case, kind of outperform expectations again, build on what she did last year, and then you know, still be in the mix to have a career after this in the sport. It's incredible. You know, what's also funny is actually finished 13th. That was the exact same place that Toby Gillen finished last year in the 5,000
Conspiracy?
to get 5.
Are they conspire? Is the NCAA conspiring against the Billikens?
They won't let us have a top 12 finish.
No.
I don't know. We got to look into this. There's something. Toby, by the way, what did he finish this year? 7th, 8th?
I believe 7th.
Yeah. So he's on.
Our sweet baby boy Toby Gillen's all grown up.
Samantha was only here one season, but she now holds the school record in the hammer throw at 65.94 meters earlier this season, and the weight throw at 18.93. She got the silver at the A10 outdoor meet for the hammer throw and bronze at the indoor meet for the weight throw. Zach, by the way, the only other A10 hammer thrower. You want me
to give this one a go?
Go for it. See if you can say this.
Gudrun Hallgrim's daughter.
I think you nailed it. She's from VCU. She finished 5th at the NCAA championships last week and was named first team All-American. You could probably guess she's Icelandic. And here's another coincidence. The Icelandic national team manager and dentist, who I recently mentioned on this show, is named Heimir Hallgrimsson. So Hallgrim's daughter, Hallgrim's son in Iceland, as we learned when Yngvi Gudmundsson played at SLU, your last name is your father's first name with either son or daughter added at the end. But they are 40 years apart, so they're not siblings. But little fun fact for you there. She's a Viking.
I did not follow that at all.
I took us on a little detour. You'll have to listen back, Zach, to get all of that. But regardless, Samantha did an awesome job. We're really excited to see where she goes from here in her professional and coaching career. And you know, nutrition and dietetics too. I mean, that's a tough program.
Everybody I knew That SLU was either nursing or dietitian.
I knew a lot of physical therapy students
PT.
as
Oh yeah,
well.
PTs.
Yeah. But
PTs.
they all are smart. They all study a
Yes.
lot. I mean,
Yes.
she's not only more athletic and competitive than us, she's a lot smarter, clearly.
Yes. Well, oh, that's not that's kind of an easy one.
Low bar.
Well, again, just it bears repeating, Pete. Congratulations to Samantha Kunza for an amazing season and college career. Pete, I want to talk about Billiken social media lately. The funniest part about SLU social media is they are doing the exact same type of posts they would have done last year, and I'm eating it up and instead of rolling my eyes for whatever. Like they're posted. These are the same BS, like locked ins, working on ourselves, hashtags. Like they're all like everybody does this and it's all bullshit. Like I'm sorry, it is. But like I'm not mad this year. It doesn't annoy me. I love it. I'm eating it all up.
Yeah, me too. I mean, and whether it's like the fun stuff, like the little toasted rav thing they did.
My idea.
Yeah. I know we talked about that exact same. Yeah.
100%. We said
no, it's fine.
I mean, not that it's not an original idea. Let's not give ourselves flowers here.
Sure.
We don't deserve flowers because it's not.
Yeah.
Like City did it first. They're like this. It's like Simpsons and Family Guy or South Park.
That's
I
right.
don't know.
Simpsons did it. Yeah. So it's you're right. I'm eating them up too. After that toasted rav video, I was beaming. I thought it was a lot of fun. By the way, they all liked it. Like even the lowest ratings were still like in the high sevens. They all liked it. But
It is. Hold on. St. Louis style pizza is like, regardless of what it tastes like, regardless if you like it or not. St. Louis is a toasted ravioli town over a pizza town, right?
Ooh, I mean that's
like it should be. That's where we should hang our hats, ladies and gentlemen.
I think toasted ravs are one of those things that's kind of undeniable. Whereas like the pizza is very polarizing and very specific. Like this toasted ravs are a crowd.
Is it too much of a crowd pleaser to be like our thing? Like, are we being contrarians by pushing the pizza?
I just think the difference is like every city's got their pizza, right? Or every, maybe not every city, but like every region certainly has a favorite pizza, and everybody eats pizza. It's just a more common food overall. Whereas toasted ravioli is like it's an appetizer kind of thing, but like it, it's its own thing. So it's harder to make that like a big deal, I think. And then if I understand correctly, I think a friend of the show, Joel Hall, said something on somewhere that it's actually a naming rights issue where someone owns the trademark for the words toasted ravioli. And so like you can't package and sell that everywhere under the name toasted ravioli. So that makes it kind of harder to find and harder to spread out. Because I was wondering, I was like, why isn't this more? It's one of those foods like this should be more popular. This is better than anything on the appetizer menu at a lot of restaurants I go to. So like, why can't I get toasted ravioli here in Cincinnati? I don't see them in the grocery store. I don't see them on food menus in restaurants. But apparently, so that's part of the issue. Anyway.
Yeah, hey, you know what? It is. We are in the off season, ladies and gentlemen. Things are only going to get weirder.
Yeah, okay. I'm afraid so, Zach. But back to the videos, whether it's toasted wraps, whether it's these practice videos that we put right at the top of the notes here. I mean, like, I'm lapping these up. They're great. I'm like, you're getting your first glimpses of our new players, and most of them are new players. Our very first glimpses of these guys. We're still trying to like put names with faces, figure out who everybody is, kind of get an idea of what they look like, how big they are, that kind of stuff. It's great. I love it. I love to see it. And I don't care what the captions are. I don't care any of that stuff. I love seeing it, keep it coming.
Yeah, definitely. Did you watch the Larry? Oh, I know you watched the Larry Hughes the second day in the life. I love day in the life videos. Well,
Yeah.
and again, I'm making fun of all this stuff, but like I'm lapping it up. I just want everybody to know,
Mhm.
like this is very tongue in cheek. Like the day in the life videos are all the same.
I mean,
I loved it. I loved it. But like
I
nobody believes that's a day in the life. Like
so wait, day in the life, all the same as what?
no,
Like,
like they're just all kind of like very talk to the camera. I don't know. It's just like it's always the most jam-packed day. It's never just a day in the life. It's
but
like the day. It's the day in the life.
he's not on his couch playing,
Yeah, no,
NBA 2K.
yeah, there, yeah. What? That's come on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, part of it, the thing about this one was it was either the first or second day back in
Yeah,
practice. It was like,
yeah.
so it was a big day.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, but I don't watch many day in the life videos in any context.
No,
We have
you don't say.
we yeah, I know. I'm not a yeah, obviously. I haven't seen many of these. Slew hasn't done many of them for men's basketball. Um, but I thought this one was really good, and it kind of made me wonder, Zach, are we going to see these for more players? Obviously, Larry's a little bit of a unique situation because halfway through he can go to his dad's gym, with his name on the wall, and get some shots up with his dad and former Billiken legend, former NBA player. I mean, it definitely is a twist that not everybody is going to have in their day of life for sure.
Yeah, that was awesome. I don't think I had ever seen like I don't know why I would ever go like look up where that is or what it looks like inside, but it was cool to see the inside of it and get to kind of know more about what Larry Hughes is up to, the senior.
Yeah, for sure. And I think is it is it out in Chesterfield? I wanted to say there
I
was
thought I might get I would have guessed
yeah.
Mills, St. Louis Mills, but
So
there's no
what I'm
way.
seeing, I just looked it up. It looks like it's out in Chesterfield, like kind of in the I don't even know what they call the area anymore.
The
Um,
Valley.
yeah, it's like almost to where you get out to the airport, Spirit of St.
Okay.
Louis
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Airport.
I know exactly. I work out that way.
Yeah, so it's like right before you get to the airport. So anyway, I think that's where it is. Um, but he's posted like I've seen both Larry and Larry Jr. post from inside there, like getting shots up and everything right like that. So I had seen like kind of the red and black color scheme of it all and stuff like that. I didn't necessarily know where it was until right now. But I thought that was a cool element of it. I also thought it was interesting. He doesn't do the ice bath, he does
Yeah,
the
that's a
cryo thing.
thing. That's a thing.
Yeah. Which he said the ice bath was too cold for him, so he did cryo. And then he was like,
Which is negative something.
yeah, he was like visibly like
I
shivering.
think it's like I don't know how to describe it. I don't know why. Like it's warmer, but it's not warmer. I don't know. I don't know how to. I don't know. I thought his breakfast plate was huge though.
Yeah,
Like that was a
yeah.
lot of food.
There was a lot of food. I mean, but again, he's what, 19, 20 years old, at the peak of his ability to put
Yes.
that down and then go do a Division 1 basketball practice and then continue to do physical things throughout the day. I mean, if I had that, I'd be sleeping at noon.
I'd be sleeping right after I ate it.
Yeah.
And I would vomit all over the court.
That was an impressive breakfast plate, I gotta
That
say.
was a nice spread they had going on. We found out too that Larry Hughes has the Japanese symbol for Kaizen behind his ear.
Yeah. Yeah. How did we not know about this tattoo sooner, Zach? I mean, like it's been what, 2 months since Schertz has been hired, and I'm kind of like,
I could see I could see him forgetting that the tattoo's there.
he's got a few others.
Yeah,
But
one
like
or two.
you would think like the first time Schertz comes in and he's like, okay, we're all about Kaizen, and this is my motto, and it's the Japanese term that means continuous improvement or change for the better. I would think, like something would come up like, hey, oh, hey, like I already walk that walk, right? Like I've already got that tattooed on me. And
You're
then that's
so
that's
hip and cool. You
that's got to
walk
be
that walk.
that's not hip or cool at
Walk
all.
that. I'm giving you shit.
But I yeah, okay. But Now you've thrown me off. But
Sorry.
you got to think that comes up like right away, and that they're like, this is incredible. And Schertz did say like maybe we were destined to be together, but it's one of those things like it's so funny that we're only hearing about it now after 2 months, and not like, oh, I got to keep this dude on the roster. He's already got my motto tattooed on him.
That's it was their density. That was their density.
Yeah.
Um, uh, um, yeah, let's talk new commitments. Because I'm tired of these old guys already. They've been here too long. Like with the portal, everything should be like. Why don't we have new guys for the fall semester? What's going on
We
here?
need at least 200 roster spots so we can have some news every other day.
Yes,
So
it really is. You get salty.
yeah, keep it coming.
Like
But
I do, like irrationally, I get annoyed when like there's nothing happening. But like that's just business.
But now all we're gonna get is practice videos and occasional schedule news. That's what we're gonna get. Um, but we do have another walk on, Isaac Holmes, who's a 6'6", 200-pound guard from Indiana State. He was a walk on there, originally from Apex, North Carolina, went to Apex Friendship School and played for Team Loaded, North Carolina, AAU. Um, he's already showed up in a lot of videos, Zach. Like a lot of people have been like, wait, who's that guy? Who's that guy? And this is who he is. We had kind of heard rumors that this was going to be somebody about to show up on campus, and before we could even confirm, he started showing up in these videos. I don't know if he's ever been formally announced or anything like that, but he actually did put up pretty nice numbers in high school, like 16, 8, and 8 a game. So kind of a triple double threat. So he's a really big guard, really, versatile. His dad played football at NC State. His brother played soccer at Liberty and High Point. So he comes from an athletic family. He didn't appear in a game as a freshman, and he wasn't on the roster as a sophomore. But like I said, he showed up in that first day of practice hype video on June 3rd. And then ever since then, that was a week ago, we've been seeing him pop up in these things. So I think it's a nice walk-on for a Schertz team. He's got size and versatility. And I also like the idea of bringing walk-ons from the previous school. And I've talked to other people about this as well who agree, but you get those kind of continuity and culture factors there, right? Like with him and Schertz's son, Jaden, we've got two more guys who know exactly what the coach wants, and they can seamlessly slot in as practice players, fit in with the culture, help other guys out, maybe getting a concept or things like that. So it makes a lot of sense to me to kind of bring on a walk-on who you already knew. So I think it's pretty cool.
If I told you that there's a college basketball player that graduated from Apex Friendship High School, that sounds like they went to a basketball factory.
It does, except that
It's not. It's a public high school.
Yeah,
which blew my mind.
Well, is it public?
Yeah, it's part
is.
of the North Carolina public school system, or the Wake County public school system. But
Okay,
it's
yeah,
the city of Apex, and they have a lot of students from Friendship, I guess, another part next to Apex.
So I wasn't sure if it was public, because like I've heard of a lot of friends schools before, and those are tied to Quakerism.
Okay.
So like a lot of times you'll hear about like a friends school, and that just means it's got at least got a Quaker history, even if it's not a Quaker school now. So I think there's a lot of those, especially out east, and I thought this might be one, but kind of interesting that it's a public school.
It's a fun name. You mentioned random schedule updates. We've got a few here.
Get a lot, actually, and they all kind of came in one day, it seemed like. But
in one tweet.
Yeah, that's true. Stu Durando and Rocco Miller kind of built off one another, and it just kind of snowballed. But SLU's going to play Wichita State in Kansas City on Friday, November 22nd, as part of a doubleheader, with Utah State, Iowa being the other game. I think it's going to be in, what is it called now? T-Mobile Arena, whatever the downtown arena is. It was the Sprint Center for a while.
Oh gosh, I don't know.
Yeah, so it's that downtown arena where we played K-State a few years back.
That was a good time.
Yeah, and famously, that's the game where Travis Ford got tickets for a very pregnant
Yes.
Rachel, who was, she like got her really good seats. And that was like, she was due like any day around that time. So yeah, that was very cool. But
Could have been an
anyway,
ugly scene courtside.
luckily it was, everything went fine.
The game was not exciting enough.
Slew's also going to head out to San Francisco for a game on Thursday, December 5th. It's the first leg of a home and home that's going to bring USF back to St. Louis the following season, 25-26. San Francisco's gym, by the way, really, really cool. That whatever they call War Memorial Gym now. It's like something at War Memorial Gym. But it's got like that second deck right behind the first, several rows there. It's a cool looking place. Jackson State is going to play in St. Louis as a bye game. We don't have a date for that yet, but we do know they're coming in. And then SLU is still looking for an MTE. They're reportedly open to hosting one, according to Stu. So that's a little bit of a
that would be awesome. What was the rumor? There was kind of a rumor that it would be a big like a Scott trade.
Yeah, and because like they, there's a thing with MTEs where if you play in one, you can actually play 2 additional games, right? Like if you don't play in an MTE, I think you're limited to 29 regular season games, and if you do, you get up to 31. So they'd probably be looking for an event that gives them 2 games, probably in a neutral site. I don't know if they'd be able to pull it off at home, but if they can get Enterprise Center, they can probably pull this off. I don't know. I mean, it's possible. I mean, I think they're going to be looking for, something that gives them 2 games, just kind of based on what they've got so far in terms of road and neutral games and how many home dates they need to fill.
The War Memorial Gym looks like a Cameron Indoor Light.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely it's like
very...
an old, right, kind of an old landlocked. It's
I love the upper part has like features that remind me of like Fenway Park. I mean, a green probably, but that's my little detour. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean it's old. It was built in what, 1958? It looks like. I think it's
that's
it's
awesome.
Where a lot of legendary players played. I mean, it's a cool place. But it looks awesome on TV too, by the way. So for that factor alone,
there's a lot of games on the schedule that I have very good excuses to try to attend, and it's concerning me.
I know. Well, wait, what's your excuse for this one to get out to San Francisco?
Oh, I have my cousin lives out in the Bay Area.
Okay. Nice.
He was supposed to go with me to the San Jose tournament. I don't remember which San Jose tournament. But he ended up getting sick and didn't make it. Well, he made it eventually, but like he didn't go to the games.
Meaning like when we play in 2019?
Yeah, the NCAA tournament, which
right.
We went to San Jose twice.
Oh yeah, I guess we did.
So I can't remember.
Yeah, this one was a quick one because this is the one where we played Virginia Tech and
yeah, he was supposed to come out for that.
But Zach, the bottom line is we now have 7 total known non-conference opponents and 6 known dates for this upcoming season, plus the knowledge that we're looking for an MTE. So it's really sort of coming into focus. And I think most of what we're going to have left is going to be bye games, with a couple exceptions. So shaping up to be a pretty good schedule for us when you start looking through it. It's not a lot of headliners necessarily so far, but also not a lot of like teams that are going to drag your net rating either. So it's kind of a solid middle schedule so far.
Just win the games you're supposed to.
That's the bottom line.
We had an article from Stu Durando out this week. On the 4th, Robbie Avila takes on teaching role in the early stages of SLU workouts. Pete, about how important he is to carrying over the system.
Yeah, for sure. And he and Swope have come up, especially him, because Swope's been hurt and everything, and Avila has been with Schertz, I think a year longer than Swope, but really they wanted to emphasize the point that he takes on that as sort of quasi assistant coach role and helping other guys understand this system, right? And how do they fit in it, because the offense really does kind of revolve around him. So Schertz reminded SLU that that Indiana State. Wait, let me start that over, because it was Avila who told Stu. Indiana State had 5 returners and 9 new guys last year. So he said this year he doesn't really see that big a difference. They've got 10 new guys, so it's more or less the same process. And then Swope himself expects to be cleared soon after this knee surgery that he had a couple months ago. He's the other guy who can really help get these teammates to kind of learn the system. So he was quoted as saying, Gibson Jimerson began learning the difference in playing with Avila during a game organized by players Monday night. This is Stu, by the way. They were teammates, and on one possession, Jimerson expected Avila to cut and made an errant pass as Avila popped to the outside, the three-point arc. Jimerson hasn't had a big man at SLU in his career who could shoot three-pointers, so that's all part of the learning curve.
That's a wild sentence to read.
Yeah, in a few ways, right? Because yeah, we haven't had a 5-man who can or a 4, because we've really played kind of a 4 guard with a center for a while now, right?
I think the only one who could come close was Cartier, and he obviously didn't stick around.
Well, that was pre-Jimerson too,
no,
right?
I'm sorry. Oh my God. I have no idea. I don't remember a time before Jimerson.
I mean,
that was back when we still used CDs.
Yeah, no, Cartier was part of that first class, first 4. I don't remember, man.
It doesn't matter.
It's been a while. Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, it's funny that Jimerson's like, he's never expected a big man to pop outside for an open look at 3, and it's just that stuck out to me. By the way, summer practice is limited to 4 hours a week, which they do at an hour at a time. So they really have to make the most of that when they do get together, and it's a lot to learn in a short amount of time. Speaking of injuries, we think Swope is going to be back pretty soon. Within the next few weeks, he should be 100%. Max Picard and Killian Brockhoff had been present at the beginning, but hadn't cleared medical testing yet. I think Picard might be good to go now. I've seen him in videos just as of the last 2 days or so. But Brockhoff, sorry, I called him Brockhoff before. He's back in Germany for national team obligations, and I think Picard is going to head back to the Netherlands for the same reason. Meanwhile, Dylan Warlick is out with an injury until August. Not sure exactly what it is, but he has been on crutches lately, where he's kind of showed up on social media. There's absolutely no reason to rush him back. So if they say August, take your time, get 100%, get healthy. Don't worry about summer practice, I would say.
Schertz also sat down with Andy Katz in a 12-minute interview published on the NABC, the National Association of Basketball Coaches website. Pete, I missed this one. I'm actually going to learn about this one with our audience if our audience hasn't listened to it or
so this
read it.
No, it was
video.
It was a 12-minute video.
Okay.
It was good. Yeah, I liked it. I thought Andy Katz asked pretty good questions, and Schertz is a good talker. He's an interesting guy. What stuck out to me right in the beginning, Zach, is he compared the current landscape in college basketball to Europe, where he said it's more of a year-to-year experience. And when you look at former SLU players or just former college players in general who have played in Europe, they really do bounce around every single year, right? Like so it's a very straightforward, easy to understand analogy that I for whatever reason had not occurred to me yet.
Yeah.
That now that college has kind of reshaped, that's a lot more of the experience. And we've talked to former SLU players who said, like, if you're playing in the Ukraine and suddenly you're playing in Turkey and then you're in Spain, and they were talking about, like, since in some of those leagues, in some of those countries, at some of those tiers, you don't necessarily know when your next paycheck is coming in, and it's always like everything from ownership to travel and all, and your apartment and all that kind of stuff can be a little tenuous. It's not the most solid situation everywhere you go. So you'd like to think that stuff won't be as much of a concern, but the analogy itself really did work for me, because I was kind of like, oh, that makes a lot more sense. You rarely see a guy spend more than like 2 years at any one place when they go over and play in Europe. So something to keep in mind as we're adjusting to the new reality of college basketball. But I did think it was funny that he called D2 a utopian existence where he had everyone for 5 years because he would redshirt guys as freshmen when he was at Lincoln Memorial
Who's
and
he?
everybody
John
stayed
Wooden?
around. I mean, seriously, very old school in that way. But in D2, you have that, right? Because like we're talking pre-NIL, you're talking D2, so most of these guys don't have any, illusions of like a pro career or anything like that. So he could redshirt them, and really by the time that they're upperclassmen, they are well schooled on what they were running, and he loved that, called it utopian, which I thought was funny. But he did say one of his biggest regrets at Indiana State was actually not bringing more players from Lincoln Memorial. He talked to Ben McCullum at Drake recently. Those are the two guys who were always duking it out at the top of D2 basketball recently. Ben McCullum winning, national titles at Northwest Missouri State. But he said at Drake, it looks like he's brought like 4 or 5 guys with him from Northwest Missouri State, and he only brought 2 from Lincoln Memorial. Kind of worried. He said he worried too much about other guys being able to make that jump, and he thinks in hindsight he would have brought more with him. So like, now he's got 2, Avila and Swope, and those walk-ons, they are 2 more, but they bring that knowledge, that culture. He said they act as de facto assistant coaches, like we had just talked about with Avila and Stu's article. And then he also said that players, like the other players who haven't been with them yet, are more receptive to learning from other players than coaches. So he likes having them. Obviously in the case of the Indiana State starting lineup, I think Katz said this as well, is it's not like they all couldn't translate. It's just that some of the other guys just went for other opportunities, right? It wasn't that he didn't want to bring them with him this time. It just wasn't possible in the end. Um, but this was all in response to Katz saying that there wasn't much of a difference between the A10 and Valley in terms of talent. Now, I thought the way Schertz, yeah, I know. That's not necessarily
Let's talk about it.
sure. I think Schertz handled it with a lot more nuance than Katz did because Katz basically said they're more or less the same thing. And I think you and I and Schertz all know that had he had the exact same record in the A10, he would have been in the NCAA tournament and not the NIT. And he's 4 points away. I think one possession um, from being in the NCAA tournament and not in the NIT in that final game against Drake. So,
I think
sure,
that the talent level is definitely there. I think talent, if you're boiling it down to purely God-given or worked on basketball ability, the talent is miles apart. Like, or I guess I think the A10's on the whole way more talented, but I think the Missouri Valley's a little more of a, it's much more coach based than player based
I think that's probably right.
or program based, I guess.
Yeah, because you think of like DeVries at Drake last year, and then what he was doing at Indiana State. I mean, those two were well above the rest of the league.
No,
And there was some good teams in the league. Bradley's been pretty good and things like that. But top to bottom, especially at the top, the A10 does have more talent. And
seems like the MVC is very much a system league where you get a coach. Again, you look at Creighton, who kind of culture won that. You always have kind of dynasties, I think, in the Missouri Valley.
yeah, like everybody kind of gets their chance to be the front runner for a while, or at least a
Yeah.
top 2 or 3 team. I think it's a little bit harder to crack the top in the A10. But anyway, so I thought Schertz kind of was a little more nuanced about like, look, I could have brought more guys from D2 to D1, so certainly I can bring guys from the Valley to the A10, and that's going to translate. But a lot of it is his system, and then I think in the A10 you're going to see rosters that have a little more depth of talent,
Mhm.
right? I mean, like I remember looking at the scout last year on Illinois State before we played them and thinking like they've actually got a lot of good players. Like this is kind of, I was kind of looking at where guys were coming from and how the team was put together. And then you saw them play and you were like, oh, okay, yeah, never mind. They're just
Al-
not as good.
Also, I think I've come to the idea that like the Valley is always like 10 years behind the A10 like physically. Like if you watch a Majerus team, you look at those guys, you're like, those guys are fit for the Missouri Valley. Like that's like just physically speaking. I mean, you look at like besides Jet, nobody on that team was a monster. Like
Yeah,
none of those guys was physically imposed. Maybe I mean I guess Conklin was, but even he was undersized and not necessarily, you
yeah,
know.
but I think even more fundamentally is it's just there's just if you want to think of it and like pretend every recruit had the Valley or the A10 to choose from, VCU and Dayton and the more resource programs at the top of the A10 are going to win those recruiting
Mm-hmm.
battles. This is just like
100%.
fundamentally that's what it's going to come down to. So anyway, so that's kind of where all that came out of. What the next question that Katz asked was about the summer practice calendar and how it impacts the recruiting calendar. Schertz thinks the rules are trending in the direction that will allow all 5 assistants to actually recruit on the road. He thinks that's going to happen sooner than later, so that way the staff can kind of
There
cover
are no
everything.
rules, Pete. This is
Well,
this is nihilism at its best.
I don't, s-
Anarchy.
I don't think
Anarchy.
it's the end of the world to let 2 more guys go recruit on the road.
No.
Especially because Schertz said this allows head coaches to travel less, for them to stay more and stay home more and develop their teams, and get to, work with them more in the off season and everything like that. So the last part of the talk was about how there are good coaches at every level, and D1 programs are starting to see success from guys who spent most of their careers at different levels of college and even high school ball. Schertz completely agreed. He said there was a misconception that if coaches were good, they'd already be in D1. And he said the reality of the situation is that there are really worthy coaches getting a ton of game and practice reps at other levels, and that these experiences are processed into wisdom, and that experience is hard to invalidate, is the way that he put it. He thinks more athletic directors are willing to hire outside the box now, and he thinks that's good for the game. I mean, obviously he's living proof of that. But I think before he just thinks they were a little too narrow in terms of their searches. And there's a lot of really good coaches out there whose
Uh,
skills translate.
I do think that there is a trend, and we talked about this in the kind of in search season, the very abbreviated search season that we underwent, and how they're kind of switching to, the coaches that are known for their basketball acumen over their recruiting. And obviously that's just going along with the trend of NIL and whatnot. Um, but I also think there's kind of a blueprint at this point. We've done this enough years. You're either a team like SLU, who's got aspirations to go higher, so you're hiring an up and coming guy, or you're a Missouri State who's getting into football, so you hire Quanzo Martin and wave the white flag. You like I don't see. Obviously, there are going to be coaches in this cycle that don't succeed at this next level, but I can't imagine any of the coaches the like the top 5 that moved up from like mid major, whatever you want to call it. I think they're all going to hit.
Well, the thing is, like, and I don't know if I would say blueprint, but it's at least coming into focus a little bit that look, rosters are very fluid year to year. So you want a guy who, number one, can build one smartly and intentionally, and not just, as Schertz said in his early days, aggregate the best available talent, but find guys who are actually
That's
going to
how I
fit.
played college hoops 2K7.
Well, I mean, it's different when you have a mastermind at the controls. I mean,
That's
you
true.
can make anything work.
That's
But like
right.
you need guys who fit
Shit.
your roster, your system, your culture, and if they're going to be cycling in and out, it has to work in that way, right? Then just throw the best guys out there I have and see if they can win in any given year. So yes, you're going to want to try and retain guys year over year over year. But having a system coach makes a lot more sense these days than even 5 years ago. It's crazy how fast that's changed. And I do think you're right. There are a lot of programs seeing the value in that. now that it comes down to what's our budget and not what's our coach's salesmanship skills. It's both of those things.
It's kind of weird that like pro sports don't just hire a coach and GM. Like that's two different jobs. That seems weird to me. After watching college, like now that I think about it, like because essentially that's what you're doing as a college coach now.
Yeah, I mean, I think we will see a lot more of this sort of GM role, whatever they're going to call it at the college level. Think we'll see more of that taking shape.
That'll be an interesting because and again, it won't be it'll be the GM will be under the head coach. What?
We'll see how it takes shape.
Or
I think
a collaborative.
a lot of coaches are going to want to do it themselves, but it's almost like, if I'm like Hurley or something, if my brother loses his job, I go, hey, come work with me. Let's do this together. You GM this thing, like that's the kind of, you're going to want someone who's a real partner in this thing. But a lot of these guys are going to have trouble, setting aside ego and realizing that they can't do it all.
We have one last remaining Travis Ford, Billiken, unknown, or their future was unknown. We now know exactly what Bruce Zhang is going to do, or at least what it appears that he's going to do.
Yeah. One last player, not including the walk-ons, but this is our final scholarship player from the roster, and that's Bruce Zhang. It looks like he'll be heading back to China, Zach, to start his pro career, as confirmed in a video posted by his trainer last week, and eventually by Bruce himself a few days later in a post. So he's going to play for the Liaoning Lions at the Basketball Champions League in Asia, which is in Dubai this week, and then he'll continue to play for that team back in China. I don't know when their regular season starts, but it seems like he's kind of a one and done in the college ranks.
Speaking of international competition, how about USA Cricket, Pete?
I mean, we're a cricketing nation now.
Yes, we are. We invented cricket.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm told anyway. A little kind of random news we found, or I don't know who found it, but it made its way to us. That is, I'll read this one. Former player coach, players or coaches, got player coach, like Daryl Duran. Dwayne Polk was named the head coach at Lutheran North High School, and Alex Jensen is now with the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA Finals as an assistant after spending 10 years with the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, he's getting an opportunity to coach the finals, which is amazing. He was with the Jazz for so many years. He was briefly with kind of the lower tier. What team was he with? Was it a Bulls affiliate or I can't remember. He was with somebody in the G League before the
Jensen.
Jazz, yeah, but anyway,
wasn't it in the Utah system? Or was that Quinn Snyder?
Quinn Snyder was definitely a Jazz assistant for a while too.
Smart move going to Utah.
Get those temptations out of the way. But no, Jensen, he was there for 10 years and now he's with Dallas. And they're in the finals, and from all indications, he's a pretty well-regarded assistant. And I'd be curious to see how much credit he gives Majerus for that, as being both a player and assistant coach under him. So I thought that was pretty cool that he's in the NBA Finals, even if they are down 2-0.
Pete, there are many temptations in this life that you can avoid by moving to Utah. 2 Men in a Garden salsa is not one of those temptations, Pete. You can get it by ordering online.
That's right, Zach. And I did it just a few days ago because I cannot resist temptation. I do not live in Utah, but $9.99 nationwide shipping will get it to me here in Ohio in the next couple days.
And it'll get it to you in Salt Lake City, too.
That's true. It might take another day or two to get out there, but they always package really well. I've always been happy with the way it arrives, and I can't wait because I'm overdue. My fridge has been empty of their salsa for a couple weeks now, And after our last show, I had to remind myself to get back on there and make an order. So I did a few days later. Should be here soon. And I'm very excited, Zach. I'm going to be loaded up on all those summer salsa flavors that I love. So head on over to twomeninthegarden.com. Once again, $9.99 nationwide shipping. Get on that right now.
Big news for the Billiken women's basketball team. They're headed to the Acrisure series at the Acrisure Arena in Palm Springs, California, between November 26th and the 29th. That's Thanksgiving weekend. I realized I was trying to pronounce it, and then I realized that it was to be pronounced like a deodorant. Acrisure. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's an interesting event, Zach, because when I first saw this, I was like, oh, this is a pretty big tournament. But then I realized, like, no, not really. So the way that this works is on the women's side, there's 7 teams, there's 2 pods. So they have the Acrisure Classic, which is Michigan State, Cal, Arizona, Vanderbilt. So that's like a mini 4-team round robin tournament, or not round robin, but bracket with a consolation bracket sort of thing. And then they have the Acrisure Holiday Invitational, which is SLU, Seton Hall, and USC. So these are basically just showcase games for USC. One is against Seton Hall on Wednesday the 27th, and then one will be against SLU on Friday the 29th, the day after Thanksgiving at 3:30 local time. So that's 5:30 St. Louis time. What is your question?
You know what this is, right? You know what the Acrisure Holiday Invitational is, right? It's exactly what the Billiken men should be doing.
Oh yeah, for their MTV.
It's the same. The 2 Men in a Garden Classic.
I wonder
2 Men in a Garden Holiday Invitational.
Yeah, I'd get on board with that. But this one's interesting, because like those are just one-off games. So I think we're going out there to Palm Springs just for the one game. To be clear, it's not like an MTE in the sense of you get multiple games.
I have a concern though, Pete. What happens if they get stuck in a time loop like the Andy Samberg movie? Are we worried they won't come back?
I don't know. It was a good movie though.
Be careful out there, ladies.
I'd be willing to watch the movie once we get that.
I loved that. That movie was great.
It was great. But this is a much bigger event. There's also 14 men's teams, 12 of which will be in 3 4-team tournaments, and then 2 of which will play a showcase game. The other news, Zach, is TNT is the TV partner. So these games could be on TNT, TBS, True TV. So
this is a MTE monopoly. What Sherman antitrust? What the hell?
I mean, they don't have every MTE though.
Yeah, that's
just
true.
The one.
Just team. So, yes, there's a lot of teams, man.
But anyway, it's a cool 5:30 day after Thanksgiving. That's a pretty good time to kick back and check it out. And the other cool thing here is, if you're following women's basketball at all, you know that now that Caitlin Clark and a couple others have moved on to the WNBA, Juju Watkins from USC, who SLU is going to play in that game, is along with Paige Beckers, she's like the star of college basketball on the women's side now. I mean, really, really big deal. USC is probably going to be like a top 5 ranked team coming in. So this is a big time game that SLU got lined up with.
Maybe I should have to Palm Springs for my Thanksgiving.
It's nice. It's nice.
The women got some offers out here. 126, 1 and 228.
Yeah, so the 2026 name is Emaria Johnson from Kennett High School down in the Boot Heel of Missouri. I believe that's where Cheryl Crow is from, Zach. But she plays her AAU ball for the Arkansas Lady Bandits program, which is based in Jonesboro, not that far from there. It's in the northeast corner of Arkansas. She's a 6-foot forward, really intense character to her game. She doesn't take a play off. She's got good size, good athleticism, strong finisher. She really fights for rebounds. She guards a few different positions. She's just kind of starting to get offers. UT Martin is the other one at this point. But I expect more of those to come through.
The team is Bandits, but they're ladylike.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Lady Bandits. 2028 offer. The first one went to Jordan Haywood from MICDS. She's an incoming freshman. And Zach, I don't know if you remember her, but her mom, Jana. Yeah,
God, Jana. Why would you let me guess it?
Oh,
I had it. I didn't see it in the notes, but I knew exactly who, like you said, Jordan. And then I started saying Jordan Hayward. And then I go, Jana Haywood.
We said it at the same time.
Yes.
But she was class of 2003, so a
I,
couple.
Jana.
She and I
Wow.
overlapped.
Dude, what the hell? This is bullshit. They can't do this to us.
Zach, we're not young anymore, especially me, because I'm of this same generation. But yeah, her mom was class of 2003 and is now, I believe, like a high school administrator, like a school district administrator or superintendent.
That sounds right.
Something like that. Yeah, she's doing something in that vein in the St. Louis area. But Jordan is a 6-foot kind of guard forward hybrid. She plays AAU for Missouri Phenom, which is an EYBL AAU program. I think SLU is the first offer of what's probably going to be quite a few. So the scouting blurb on her so far is that she's got the size of a front court player and the skill set of a guard. So she's got some real potential to really be a special player, but she's so young, you know, it's a long time before we kind of see where she ends up. But so far she's looking really promising.
Jana Haywood. She is the assistant superintendent for human resources for the Ferguson Florissant School District.
There you go.
And Jana Tillman was her was I guess her maiden name, I believe. I do remember when she went by Jana, like she go by Jana Tillman at SLU? I don't remember. I'm gonna let this one go. Pete, how about this last offer?
I think she was Haywood at SLU, by the way.
Why did Tillman, like, am I remembering Tillman just from the alumni stuff? Like when she would come back for alumni, they'd announce her. I'm trying to remember. Or maybe did she get married at SLU? I don't.
Yeah, when you look her up in the all-time roster, she's listed as Haywood.
Yeah.
She and Angie Lewis shared the Scholar Athlete Award.
I think she got married during time at SLU.
Was that it? Okay.
Yeah.
She was our leading rebounder in 2003.
Yeah, she tore her ACL. Or she had 1 year of eligibility left due to a medical red shirt after tearing her ACL in her right knee in 2000.
Got it.
Yeah, she left. She opted out of her final year of eligibility.
Okay. All right. So yeah, we were just a class apart then.
Yeah, she was good.
Yeah, she was good.
Double nickel.
Yeah. She was not a bad player at all. Last offer this week was to another 2028. So they're offering these younger classes. Izzy Churn from Marshfield, Missouri, which is down by Springfield. I assume she'll attend Marshfield High School, which is the only school in town. Not a whole lot of choice there, but she's a 5'10" point guard. She can really shoot the ball, plays with a ton of confidence and swagger for somebody who's young. She also plays for Missouri Phenom, so she is an AAU teammate of Haywood. And SLU is her first offer as well. So that program's a very good program, Missouri Phenom. It's kind of like a Brad Beal Elite or Mocan Elite in terms of playing in the EYBL, nationally competitive. And it seems like SLU is trying to really form a relationship with that program and get on some of these talents as early as possible.
You describing her play as having swagger reminded me of one time they were doing the pregame women's basketball. They'd always have like Papa John's for like season ticket holders, for like 3 games or whatever out of the year. But I remember Shimmy coming in to the group, and it's older folks, older men and women, and I don't remember if it was a man or a woman, but it's probably a man, because why wouldn't it be? He says, I was wondering what you like. He said a player was described as having swagger, and he asked if it was a good thing. This was, mind you, in West Pine Gym early to mid 2000s.
Yeah,
it was very funny. Very
that
funny.
Sounds about right.
I don't know who it was or if he's still with us, hopefully, but yeah, that was funny. I remember that. On the baseball diamond, concerning news, Easton Richter, Jackson Holmes, Owen Chaffin, Max Babbage, Colby Downard, Brock Graff, and Harrison Dubois are all in the transfer portal. Obviously, Easton Richter, Jackson Holmes, and Owen Chaffin are all very high use guys on this team or on this past iteration.
Right. Those would be the big losses. With the other guys, it's always a conversation of what's my future here kind of thing. And guys who didn't play much. So, those are ones where you just say, look, if it's not a fit, you hope for the best and all of that. But the other three, you're right. I do think there's some reason for concern there. Those are some big names in terms of probably our ace this season, one of our better bats this season. So yeah, there's that's a big deal to lose those three.
Let's see. Let's talk some women's soccer because Pete, we got a schedule and there is a date that we have circled.
Yeah, they released the full schedule on June 6th, and it's such a funny schedule, Zach. Home games, Kansas City, BYU, Penn State, SIUE, George Washington, Loyola, St. Joe's, VCU, George Mason. And then on the road, they go to Evansville for an exhibition game. They'll go to Mizzou, Missouri State on that turf, Creighton, Xavier, UMass, Duquesne, Richmond, LaSalle, Dayton. Which is the date you've got circled there, though, Zach?
That would be Xavier on what is that? September
12th?
12th? Yeah. September 12th. Pete and I have planned to attend the Cincinnati Columbus Hell is Real rivalry game on the 14th in Cincinnati. And this matchup between SLU and Xavier just happens to be that Thursday. So conceivably, I may go up early and we might hit both of these games. And that sounds like a great freaking weekend.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one. Hopefully we can pull it off. Hopefully your schedule allows for it. But that's exciting, Zach, to get that much SLU and SLU alum soccer in 3 days.
Yeah.
We're going to have Kip Keller on the FC Cincinnati side, Patrick Schulte and Net for the crew.
I think we need to get 2 soccer jerseys, one Keller, one Schulte, and we'll get extra large so we can both use it. So
come on now,
we'll cut it down the middle.
I'm a large. I'm not that big.
Okay, fine. I thought I got you confused with Les Fine Bills.
Oh,
hit him with a stray. Yeah, we get a large one. Just cut it in half, and we each wear one side. We just sew them together. We could end up on a jersey site. We could go viral.
Yeah, those are the most aesthetically pleasing jerseys for sure.
We're not. Who cares about aesthetics? We're going viral, baby.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things I like about this schedule, Zach. So if you're looking at last year's RPI, BYU was number 2, Penn State was number 4, Xavier 27. Everybody else after that, is kind of, Creighton, Missouri State, Mizzou are in the hundreds, SIUE, Kansas City, Evansville in the 200s. But what I find really interesting about this is with those 2 top tier teams coming in, and what should be another ranked team in Xavier on the road. The funny thing is, Zach, we've played all of these teams. In the last year or two, we played at BYU, at Penn State in the tournament last year. We've played Xavier very recently. We had a home-and-home with them. And then Mizzou, Missouri State, Creighton, even SIUE and Kansas City. These are all teams we've played either in the regular season or in the spring season, like Mizzou. It's crazy to me that literally none of these are new teams to a lot of players who are already on SLU's roster. Not one unfamiliar opponent. Even I think at Evansville, they played 2 years ago.
And what a great local schedule too.
Yes.
It is, you've got obviously Creighton is semi-local and, it's regional. Missouri State's local, Mizzou's local, SIUE's local, Kansas City's local, Evansville, again, regional. Xavier is just regional. Penn State, BYU, not really, but you're keeping, you're not subjecting your team to a massive travel schedule when you are going out of town for road games for the most part.
Yeah, for sure. And you and I have talked about a lot with this program in recent years. It's just like there's like that top tier, right? And this is them every year. They're making that step to where they're kind of in that. And the BYU and Penn State games are the ones that are the real litmus tests to kind of see like, have we made it? Are we there? Is it not going to be one of those situations where we come out against Rutgers and get kind of sucker punched, by their speed and their athleticism? I think this program has gradually worked its way up to where they think they can hang with these top 5, top 10 teams, and they're going to be a threat for a deep tournament run every year. So it's a cool schedule for the reason you outlined. I mean, I think there's got to be a lot of local players on a lot of these rosters. So yeah, tons of interest for local soccer fans and tons of familiarity for SLU's coaches and players. Kind of an amazing level of that, really. So it's going to be interesting once they get to the postseason and actually see some teams they haven't seen before.
Did we mention that the A10 tournament is going to be November 1st through the 10th at campus sites of higher seeds?
We did not mention that. No.
Well, now we just did.
We left off. Yeah.
We just did now.
Hopefully that means 3 more home games for SLU.
Yes, absolutely. On the men's soccer side of things, by the way, should we go ahead and just like call it for Patrick Schulte to be the starting keeper for the U.S. Olympic team?
Oof, good Lord. After the other night, yeah, why not?
Well, I mean, that goalie's not going to play on the Olympic team. Matt Turner's too old for the Olympic team.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, sorry.
I would like to call it for the World Cup squad too.
But yeah, no, for the Olympic team, that's a good point. Yeah, he's eligible for that, right? So,
well, he was at the final camp.
Yeah.
So I mean,
when do we get final roster? Do we know?
I thought it is amazing to me every year how close to the games the actual trials are.
Yes.
I'm like, what? I thought we had this all settled. I thought we knew who was going to be on the Olympic team like months ago. Yeah, but Indiana, Lucas Oil Stadium is being turned into an aquatic center, the largest aquatic center in the world.
So I guess this is not the final team, but he is one of 2 keepers who's on the roster for the June camp.
Right. He was called into the June camp, which is the final camp.
Right.
Which is
25 players. So you got to think that there's going to be very few.
I mean, there's only 2 goalies.
Right. Yeah. So yeah. I would think the Olympic roster looks a lot like this.
Yeah. But getting speaking of MLS though, Schulte being at MLS in an MLS playing with an MLS side, we got a little a Tim Ream nugget.
We hear he's in advanced talks to go to Charlotte FC. So it appears that the 36-year-old back is leaving Fulham, heading to MLS, but it isn't for STL City, which right away a lot of St. Louisans were a little bitter about that one. It doesn't seem to be final yet though. So
I don't think he's gonna look good in like a blue and black, that blue. He looks good in royal blue. I don't think he'll look good in the lighter blue. And they wore white a lot. The Billikens wore white a lot. He looked good in white.
Yeah, so does Fulham. I picture him in that white Fulham kit.
There's literally one picture of Tim Ream at SLU. There's one. And we all know which one that is. Like we can all visualize the picture of Tim Ream.
Yeah,
and it's in a white.
Possible?
Yeah. Imagine that now. Like 20 years down the road, we're gonna be like, there's no pictures of Larry Hughes too at SLU. There's a whole video.
There's only 10,000.
There's an entire season's worth of day in the lives.
Right.
By the way, I'm just reminding St. Louis University Athletics that they should do a straight reality show around this team. Like get Amazon. When I say reality show, I'm talking like what's the Amazon All In or whatever, All or Nothing.
Yeah.
Like that's what we need. We need an all or nothing St. Louis Billikens.
I'd be cool with that. I'd be curious to hear what our coaches would say about that.
I don't know. I think he likes to talk. He likes to be on camera. Yeah, but we are expecting the full men's soccer schedule any day now, though, Pete.
Yeah, we just got the women's last week. I think we'll get the men's this week, so we'll cover it in the next show.
On Pete, I gotta say competitive gaming, man.
I put this in here.
These guys rock. Hold on, these guys are awesome, but they're look. I play NHL on Xbox One. I am not an esport athlete. I am a gamer who is very competitive at it.
Yes.
I go ahead, Pete. I give them all the credit in the world for winning a national championship or something.
St. Louis University is your 2024 College League of Legends national champions. I don't know anything, Zach, about League of Legends.
I do, actually.
But these
my college roommate and Billiken swimmer, Brian Brasser, was a huge League of Legends player. He would just rock out on that stuff all the time.
You could show me clips of 20 different. I would have no idea which game it even is. I don't know anything about it. But it's a national championship.
Yeah,
it's what, our first since the chess one a couple years ago.
Yeah, we're good at games. We're not good at sports.
If people are sitting in a chair while they're competing, we're pretty good at those games.
Yes, we can do that. Can you drink while you're doing it? We are a Jesuit Catholic school. We are perfect for that. We should national champ. There's got to be there. Tell me there's not a college cornhole championship, my dude.
There's got to be.
There has to be.
Washers, horseshoes, cornhole.
I will. I need a can jam partner. I'll go back to school and play college can jam.
I think my brother would do. He loves that game, man. He loves these. Those games are his.
If there was college can jam, they might have to cancel the ultimate championship, because they would take all the guys. All the dudes would just go over to can jam. It's much more prestigious. That's it. I'm off on a can jam tangent. It's time to call this show. Yeah, that's gonna do it, Pete. Anything? Any last words?
No, that's it. It's another exciting week, Zach. We'll have more for you next week, so stay tuned. We're trying to line up some more interviews. That was just our first in a long time, so I think we're going to get some more of those lined up soon as well. Still
trying to come up with some weird things to do. Maybe interviews. Maybe bring on West Pine Bills. Maybe do a Q&A with him. Just, I don't know. Figure something out. Who knows? Yeah. We'll see where it goes. Sure. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Go Bills.
Go Bills.